Steady on, YouTube, take a seat. We seem to have come across a problem with our little smoky machine. The condensation on the exhaust has piled up at the bottom of the exhaust, causing a bubbling and a gurgling, and in fact this one's completely blocked. So we're going to have to redesign our smoke machine Mark 1 into something that works a little better. Stand by for action. So I've cleared everything out of the way, and what we're going to do is, because we've got that condensate gathering at the bottom of the exhausts, what I'm going to have to do is redesign the box entirely so that it runs in a straight line from the bottom of the exhaust into the box, which means lowering the output tube down to about here, and then making my own brass exhausts for these. So what I'm going to have to do is remove the 6 bolts from the shields either side and start to make the brass tubes. So it's going to be a bit of soldering, a bit of fiddling about, but we're going to get there. Okay, as you can see, we've taken the exhaust shields off and the exhausts out, all ready for putting the new brass piping straight through and into the lower part of the smoke box that we built. So all this will be soldered up. I'm just going to make the parts now. Okay, time for some more soldering. Where's my lighter? There she is. These are the lower exhaust ports now. So that any oil that condenses in the exhausts can just flow back into the box. You heat it up. Obviously got to do this as quick as possible because I don't want to melt the other joints on the box, and that'll be a nightmare trying to get them all soldered back up again. So let's have a go. That should be it. Looks good. Let it cool down, and then we can inspect and then do some fitting and see if it matches up to the holes in the back of the tank. I don't know if you can see that properly. I'll try and get it in focus. That's the original exhaust that was on the back of it, and that fitted just in that hole there. And then on the other side of that, if you saw from the other videos, I had the brass sticking through the metal backplate, which went into this plastic hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a piece of brass that fits out of that hole, goes up, follows the lines of the exhaust. Then the actual look of the exhaust, I'll cut the top off, split that in half, and then surround the brass pipe in this bottom muffler bit. Because we have to make new exhausts, we have to anneal the brass tubes that we're using to make them with. Annealing, basically, all it does is heats up the metal, cools down, doesn't matter how fast it cools down, but it softens the brass. Obviously with steel, if you heat it up to a certain temperature and drop it in water, it'll get harder and more brittle, whereas with brass it just softens it just nicely so that you can bend it. Anyway, here we go. And it remains softer even after it's cooled, so you'll see exactly what I mean after we've heated it. So it's nice and toasty hot. Obviously with your flame, I don't know if you can see it, but the flame is hottest at its inner point. So you can see that deep blue on the inner of the flame. Just on the tip of that, that's where it's the hottest. Let's get some steam going here. There we go, nice and red. Brass has a melting point of about 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not going to get anywhere near that, but what I do want it to do is glow nice and red. And then let it cool. Do it. Let that cool. Hopefully it's going to be nice and bendy And to stop it from kinking when I bend it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some plumber's solder down it, bend it, and then if it gets stuck I can just melt it out. So as you can see, the box is in place. We've got the bottom pipes for the exhaust attached, so that the whole thing, remember, is so that the condensed oil doesn't gather at the bottom of the exhaust pipe and start bubbling away, which just decreases the amount of smoke that's coming out. The top old exhaust pipes coming out of the box, I'm just going to bung some plastic in there and seal it up. I'm not going to get rid of them yet because I've got a funny feeling I'm going to get some smoke going to the gun on the tank as well. So when it recoils, some smoke comes out. I've got a few ideas on how that's going to work. That won't be this week though. We'll get this running and we'll get it running around the garden. I'll put it all back together and see how we go. So here we go then. The secret to our put, the authentic tank look for the smoke, is these little things. I don't know if you can see it there. Micro air pump used on aquariums. Keep your fish aerated and lots of lovely oxygen. And that pumps it out quite nicely. You can attach it to your motors obviously to get the proportional speed. But this thing has made a hell of a difference to the output of the smoke, without a doubt. A few other little noteworthy things. We've got the little switch there, so the smoke machine can be controlled by the RC unit. I've got two outputs on it, only one of them's used, but at a later date no doubt I can get some lights on the tank and control it from that. The box that you see there's two 18650s in that to power the smoke machine. Got another box with another two 18650s to power the electronics. Motors are the motors are standing up well to the stress I'm putting this thing under as well. It weighs an absolute ton. I did a little quick test run around the garden earlier on and it could barely move with all the mud. So it's just started raining outside. What I'm going to do is run it up and down my shed so you can see it in full flow. A little battle in the garden that we were going to have today and do the assault course isn't going to happen. I just haven't got enough batteries to power everything up, and I've gone to set up all my RC gear and a few of these aren't working. This poor old Sherman, his gun's failed, so I'm going to have to get another flash unit for that from somewhere.